because there's so many interesting things to look at, but technology is just not with us right now.
It is a glorious morning in Edinburgh, as it is in London as well. We've been up the London Eye. Carol's been telling us about some very high temperature over the next few days as well in various parts of the UK. Something else to talk about before we finish at 9 o'clock this morning. For almost 50 years, BBC's Newsround has been the after-school staple. I was a big fan of John Craven. Loved it.
So was I.
Loved a bit of Craven.
Probably why I do this job.
Yeah, there you go. As children tune in to find out a bit more about the world around them. But the internet, social media and streaming, of course, means that the way children are watching TV is changing all the time.
From September, Newsround's tea time broadcast on the TV will stop. Instead, there'll be a longer morning bulletin and more online news. In a moment, we'll talk about it with the TV critic Scott Bryan. First, though, let's have a little look back down memory lane.
Now the latest news on the Apollo 17 astronauts and a new kind of school examination. The famine in the African country of Ethiopia.
Fire chiefs from around the country have... It covered all the big stories, but tailored them perfectly for its audience. So while it covered everything as difficult as the Dunblane shootings to the death of Princess Diana, it never patronises its audience.
Welcome to Sunday's Newsround Showbiz. We've got a jam-packed programme for you.
You just got a ringside seat to some of the biggest news stories in history. I remember going to Barack Obama's inauguration, but then getting to view that through the eyes of children, which is a fantastic perspective, was just brilliant.
Gavin is live there for us with the very latest. Gavin.
We communicate really, really big stories to a young audience. You know, those audiences at that point in their lives are just sponges for information.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ricky. Welcome to Newsround. First up, new plans to tackle obesity.
The reason why I became a journalist was because of Newsround. I used to watch Julie Etchingham and Christian Murphy when I was a kid, and I used to be inspired by them. So we will continue to be on TV every morning, and we have to move with the times. And there's a lot of nostalgia, but Newsround isn't going anywhere. It's getting bigger. We've got a fantastic team that are providing news throughout the day, on weekends as well. That never used to happen when I was growing up. So it is getting bigger, and hopefully it's just keeping in touch with kids in the 21st century.
It's a great programme, wasn't it? Christian Murphy's hair there was magnificent.
It really was magnificent. I'm sure, you know, I mean, I watched it for many years. And so many people went into journalism because of it, actually. It's really had an important role. We're joined now by TV critic and co-host of BBC's What to Watch podcast, Scott Bryan. Morning to you. Thank you.
Hi, Scott.
Did you used to watch it as well?
I did, and I got into journalism because of it, because it was just such a fascinating show. So I think for many people, the news that it's going away in the evening broadcast, I think is a little bit sad. But I mean, it's still continuing in the morning. But I think, you know, a concern is that when you spend all of your resources on the internet, you know, which is what Newsround is going to be focusing on, it is not going to have that position in our schedules. It might not be in the front of our minds. But I think it just shows that kids, you know, viewing habits are very much changing and are expecting shows on demand now.
I think it's important to mention, Scott, you touched on it there, that Newsround is not going anywhere. It's just changing because of the sort of modern media landscape. And, you know, you could easily say that's a good decision to, rather than just putting their resources into something that's not being watched or not right for children now, they're changing the way they're doing things.
Very much so. But the way that Newsround has been so good is the fact that it covers a range of issues. You know, you learn about society, you learn about the economy, you learn about world affairs, you get challenged, you get stimulated by many different topics. And the way that we use the internet, you know, we try to go and find a certain topic that we're already interested in, or we're just trying to find one or two things. So I worry that kids are not going to have the range of issues that a normal traditional Newsround bulletin in the evening would be normally providing them. And it's also the fact that you've got so much competition, you know, with Newsround, you know, in the internet has that legacy, has that resonance, but you've got, you know, so many different websites trying to keep their eyeballs and trying to distract them. You just worry whether it's going to have the same prominence as it has already on TV.
Attention span is very short, and yet they pick up lots of information, and yet there's still a market, isn't there, for that sort of long-form journalism and in-depth podcasts and documentaries. So it's basically just a slight change, but there's still information out there, just consumed differently.
Yeah, I mean, I say that, you know, it's always been the case with kids is to never underestimate them. And I think.
And there was something there is still something really special about Newsround, and the presenters, lots of them touched on it in that little piece, didn't they, about the fact to kind of talk about the news, but from a different perspective. That's important, isn't it?
It's really important. And I think if you look at the alumni from like Lisa Mazimba to Adam Fleming, who does newscast, I think you get to understand as a journalist about how to keep your reports as simplistic as possible.
That is it from us today. We're going to leave you. We're going to take you to London.
With a lovely
view. From the Eye.
Yeah, have a look at this. A lovely view across London. London Eye opens on Saturday, and what a beautiful day to be there today.
That's it from us. We'll see you tomorrow on Breakfast.
Bye-bye.